I've seen firsthand the death knell of so many games that I loved. WildStar, Anthem, the names just come flooding back to my mind. This is going to be an update video that I know that no one will click, but I'm going to make a video talking about it because this might be the single most important thing that you have seen come out for Final Fantasy XIV news in so many months. This is more important than the raid tier. This is more important than any content that we're going to be hearing in the live letter, and people will disagree with me, but this is huge. This indicates that the developers are truly genuinely looking at moving forward with this game. This is an incredibly important update. So to that end, in my mind, there are two really big branches of kind of updating a game. The first one is what you expect and is much more common. It's going to be your mainline content updates, which are a huge, massive amount of dev time. Do not get me wrong, I'm not trying to underplay it. Like, these are going to be things like your Deep Dungeon Eureka Orthos. This is going to be your Island Sanctuary. This is going to be your new raid tier, your ultimate raids, your glamour systems, your events. Very important things that prolong the life of the game. But completely different to that, and so much more rare, is when you see a game company that has a proven flagship product that is generating revenue say, hey, we're going to take that and we're going to smash it into the general infrastructure of the game to improve the servers, make it better. It is such a rare investment that I have seen so many companies fail at, like things like Anthem. Anthem basically pulled the plug on the game. Apparently it's still running in some form or another, but for all intents and purposes, yeah. I'm gonna read through the post real quick. In order to deliver an optimal gaming experience for future updates, we will be upgrading the hardware of our North American data centers, an extended period of maintenance to be scheduled for all worlds while the equipment is being replaced. All content on North American data centers, Aether, Crystal, Dynamis, and Primal, including character data, will be automatically transferred to the new servers. No changes will be made to the data center or world selection screens, nor to any character or world data. The physical location of all data centers will remain unchanged, and the Final Fantasy XIV development and operations teams will exercise the utmost care in ensuring that all data is safely and securely transferred. Players will not be required to take any action following this hardware update. There's a little bit of commentary, which is kind of what you want, because this is something that you want to be as seamless, like smooth as possible. You don't want like an obvious transition for users, which is unfortunately why this is probably going to completely fly under the radar. I don't even think this video is going to hit 1,000 views. I really don't. I think that this is such a non-event thing to people, but I think that the more that you want to see Final Fantasy XIV succeed, the bigger, the more incredibly impactful this becomes, because you see this kind of thing so rarely with game companies these days. So I'll save the rant for later. Continuing the post, my apologies. They say, maintenance during hardware replacement. In order to safeguard against any potential errors while transferring data to the upgraded hardware, all worlds across all physical and logical data centers will undergo maintenance during the period listed below, from Monday, April 3rd, 2023 at 3 o'clock a.m. to Tuesday, April 4th of 2023 at 3 o'clock a.m. So they're giving themselves a good full day, really, and that this is going to be coinciding with patch 6.38, which, what are we really looking for that patch? Probably Savage Raid loot unlocked. That's pretty much about it I'm expecting from that. Nothing too major. So obviously this is very significant, and now I'm gonna go on that rant. This is something that I don't see nearly enough game companies do with their games. They basically let their games completely languish. They're just like, hey, we have this really cool product, get hyped for product, buy the product, pre-order, buy all these bonuses, buy 4 days early access, you idiots. And it's like, oh my god. And then they just let the entire game just languish, deteriorate, and die over years. Sure, they'll push in content updates. They'll be like, hey, we have a new season of blah blah blah. Oh, hey, we have this new thing. But so rarely do you see these companies, especially with a lot of games. There are games right now that have been out for a decade where they are not reinvesting any of that into upgrading their servers. And I'm not going to name names, but you know what, there are a few that are coming to my mind where I'm just like, you have not upgraded your servers once. And that's not 14, because 14 has obviously expanded their servers. They've added new data centers. This is obviously something that they're even addressing here. But so often you see developers just kind of rely on their laurels and just the hype and people just being dedicated to that game, and it just keeping on going and going and going, and it just, they never reinvest, they never improve. And then the players that are like, hey, I've still had this little bit of ping issue ever since release, it's just like 10 years later, guess who still has that ping issue? So let's talk more directly about immediate benefits to gameplay that I speculate, but I can only presume we're going to be seeing. Fact is, Final Fantasy XIV has had some input delay. A Realm Reborn was quite frankly notorious for this, where there were a lot of problems. Like, you had Dragoons being floor tanks, we had animation locks, we had the whole kit and caboodle. Even if you remember last expansion, pet AI was probably the main #1 concern about Summoner. No one really complained about Summoner damage over time effects, but it was really the pet AI that everyone complained about, as well as the fact that Titan was a teeny tiny little chicken nugget and everyone's like, where's my big summons? But fact is, Final Fantasy XIV for a long time has had a problem with snapshotting. I cannot tell you how many times, even in T, especially now that I'm now in Limit Cut Prog, I've only been doing it for a few weeks now, but I'm enjoying the hell out of it. T has honestly been such a refreshing thing. I think that I prefer it way over Savage Raiding. It's such a good fight, but I digress. But when I'm in T, I'm like, oh shit, that was a snapshot. Or like, say that you're like in like Living Liquid and that you're just trying to like go from like the northmost bait to like the east side or whatever, and then you're trying to like swivel in back to the center north for that bait. I cannot tell you how many times, and I've been trying to get faster at it, and I have successfully done that many times now, but the snapshot was so janky that I had to like put myself like way quicker. It would be like, okay, I did that north bait, and then it would go off a few seconds later, then I go into the middle. Sorry, I know that that is such a stupidly specific example, but that's just an example that I've recently hit where the snapshotting has been ugh. Or how many times have you been in, say, Gorgo Mantea in P8S, and then you see, hey, you just flash the party, not because your character's not looking directly out at the snake, but because like half a second earlier, you just happened to look in the middle, dummy, and now the entire party's wiped and we're back to Snake's Prog somehow. So server changes likely to help that, and so I am very optimistic. I think that that is a huge detriment, or how to say it, I think in its current state is a huge detriment to rating. I think that the servers upgrading this is going to be one of the biggest boosts to rating and keeping people really happy, because it's so frustrating when you get snapshotted. Now let's talk about cynical promises. And so I wasn't really sure if that's even the right way to put it, but I'm gonna be really cynical here. No company that wants to make a profit, and almost every single company out there really wants to make a profit, would ever waste money on something just for the hell of it. These companies are out here to make money, to profit, to make the best product they can in order to get you engaged, involved, get you really, you know, getting the doubloons. So when you see a company invest all this money, all this time, and all this effort into upgrading the servers, that is not them out of the goodness of their heart. This is them saying, we are going to stick to our plan. We're going to make this future-proof. We are going to make plans to get every single frickin' doubloon out of this game that we possibly can. We want more expansions. We want more content. We want more players. We want to keep the players we have. We want to retain and build. And so this, from the most cynical standpoint ever, indicates Final Fantasy XIV they're not going to give up on. They're going to double down on. Maybe even triple down on, because they are not just making new content, they're also upgrading the servers. This, for anyone watching this, is probably the single biggest update that we will get from, I'd argue, until FanFest with obviously a new expansion. This, no one's going to click on this video, no one's going to give a shit, but I can tell you, this is the biggest deal that we will get. And I gotta say, our devs are a blessing, and this is a part of the reason why I love Final Fantasy XIV, a part of the reason why I make content, because frankly, I don't make money on this channel. Like, I am literally nothing compared to my day job, but I can tell you, I love the devs, I love this community, and I have faith in this game succeeding, and obviously the devs do, and that's what this is. This is the devs saying, we have faith in this game, and that makes me so happy as a player. and that's why this is the biggest update we can get.